Hi, everybody.
It's been a little while. We've had some
Major life events happening.
just a few. We'll talk more on that later. But
Welcome
to this week's episode of That PDX Life. I am your host, Tara Stone.
And Tammy
there. This week we're going to talk about the pending
housing crash, market crash.
Yeah. Anyways, join us for the video. It's going to be a fun one. We're just going to talk with you guys about what's going on right now, what our experience as realtors are with our clients and all of that. So stick around and
stay tuned.
Welcome to our channel. If this is your first time joining us, thank you for coming to see us and all of our craziness.
Yeah, and like and subscribe and all of the things if you want to get some real estate advice that's straight and to the point and maybe a little bit funny.
Yeah, we think we're funny. Hopefully you think
hilarious.
we're funny. Tam and I have been in the business collectively for about 10 years, working our real estate magic.
Unicorn over here, born and raised in Portland, Oregon.
Yep, and I'm a not Portland native, Pacific Northwest native. So together we have a lot of experience helping people relocate, people who already live here, and all of the good things like that. So,
and we know all the stuff about in and around the parks.
Stuff and things, as they'd say.
So please like, subscribe, comment, and get in touch.
All right, thanks. All right, so we are going to be talking about this impending market crash. I don't really think there's a crash going on.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. From what the sources are saying and what we're seeing, we like data. We like to look over the data. We're actually just seeing an adjustment and a slowdown, which is completely healthy and normal in the market.
We're calling it a rebalancing because COVID interest rates were really low, which increased demand. And now interest rates are increasing and demand is slowing down.
Yeah. So what we're seeing with that, when the inventory was super low and all of those people were purchasing homes, that brought the rate up, which brought up appreciation. We saw appreciation in anywhere in between like 13 and 15%.
Yeah, high.
In some areas.
Historically high.
Yeah, and typically it's around 6 to 8%. So basically with the rebalancing, it's shifting back down. It's trending back down. So with some of our clients, like people who are in the buyer's market right now, what are our clients experiencing?
I love working with buyers. And I think right now buyers are seeing that they can wait a little bit longer to even see a house because they're staying on the market.
Like 28 days is what the average.
Which is longer than the 3 days we were seeing before.
Yeah. List on a Thursday, pending by Monday.
Yeah, and
like
because the days on market are higher and we are seeing about 9% price reductions out of all of the houses that are coming up on the market, only about 9% of them are reducing in price before they go pending. So take that into consideration when you're thinking about this housing crash.
Yeah.
Like 9% is not a lot.
No, it really isn't. And in some areas, in some zip codes, some neighborhoods, it's going to be more than that. I would say what we've seen is like, if somebody asks, is it going to be competitive? Am I going to have to still go over and above that? It's going to be house.
Not always.
It's going to be house dependent. I just listed a property in Southwest Washington. We actually went to pending in 4 days and had multiple offers. So to say that the housing market is crashing, it's just not.
And all of these things have always been house dependent. They're even at the height of the market during COVID, you would have houses that were priced accurately and were not getting multiple.
There was
offers
still price reductions,
and not 100,000 over asking.
Yep.
Just because it wasn't worth it to the people who were looking at that particular property.
Yeah.
So we tell people all the time, more than likely, and this is something we can talk about when we're at listing appointments, is that houses go for more when they're dialed in and staged. So, and you get really good pictures.
Yeah. So that's still true. We actually saw some really terrible marketing happening during the COVID uptick in all of the houses, and
realtors taking cell phone photos and
in the bath. Yeah, you can see them in the bathroom mirror.
Oh,
we're like,
goodness.
So it's always been true, right? If you want to get more for your home, have us come through. We work with amazing stagers and cleaners and different things like that. We can help you price it accurately, which I would say is one of the number one things along with the marketing.
Yes.
If you're a seller, for instance, and you're like looking at all of these things online and at the numbers and you still think your house is up here, I'm sorry, but it's not, right? We need
Please
a
don't
reality
look at
check.
Zillow and see that number that Zillow says or Realtor.com and think that that's really what your house is worth.
Yeah.
They are not real people going in
It's
a
a
real
robot, you
market.
guys.
Taking into consideration that your roof is caving in. It
Yeah.
doesn't have that data. So it takes for an actual educated agent to come in and give you a home
Yeah.
evaluation. So please, all of you people who are thinking about listing your house, don't take that internet information as
Yeah.
gospel.
It
Call
could
us.
be, yeah, and it can be a baseline, but I've seen it too high or too low,
Mm-hmm.
up to 15%, which if you think about that at a $500,000 house, it's like, that's a lot of money, right? Same for you for sale by owner potential people.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great if you want to try to save some money, but typically ends up costing you more dollars that you could have got from your home marketing it in the correct way. So just a little tip on that. Speaking of, like, there's a lot of active homes for sale right now.
Yeah.
We looked at last year versus this year, months of inventory. So right now it's almost 2 months of inventory and
almost a full month more than it was this time last year.
Yeah.
And about 1,600 more houses currently on the market than there were last year.
Yeah.
And we know that this is due to the rates are being increased because inflation, and that the Fed is selling off all of the mortgages that they had held on to for a really long time. And they are the ones who are really trying to create and correct this market. Because spending has just gotten out of control, and they're trying to control that from their perspective.
Yeah.
And that's helping so that we're rebalancing, right? So we're not going to end up in this crazy market, and we're also not anticipating any sort of crash. We're rebalancing so that things are a little bit more calm for us realtors, so that we can be like, okay, we might work with you on the buy side for a couple months as opposed to a week before we're under contract, because you have the space and time.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing more offers under asking. We're seeing more contingency offers being accepted.
Yeah, sellers are offering to buy rates down left and right, which if you don't know what that means, basically when you are going to get locked into your loan, the lender's going to give you like 3 options and say, if you want to be at this rate, it'll cost this much. You won't have to buy any of it down. But if you want to be at this rate, to save you a half a point or something, maybe it'll cost you $5,000 or $7,000. So that's a big chunk of money to potentially add on to your closing costs. So some sellers are saying, hey, if you give us an offer, we'll pay for that for you, which is going to save you on your monthly. It's going to ask you to bring in less at closing, and overall it's going to end up helping you in the long run. So I've seen that. Instead of a price drop, actually, I am seeing some of that in the notes. So one of the other things working with us is we're going to have those conversations with the listing agent, even if they're not advertising it. Yeah. Maybe it's something they would offer.
Yeah, especially when you're seeing the houses being on the market a little bit longer than
7 days. If it's been on for 7 days, we've got a little wiggle room. We're like,
as we like slide in there and get you some extra dollars. So, they're like we're saying, that we just don't see any evidence or any data backing up this idea that the housing market is going to crash and that you are going to lose significant amount of equity in the house that you've already purchased. Yeah, we're probably not going to see, unless you're really dialed in and staged and all of the great things, we're not going to see you going for over $100,000 over asking. No, any of those things, but we are going to be able to.
Thank God, though, right?
Oh, I know, that was just crazy.
Who can afford that anyways? Here, give your firstborn child. It was a little bit, it was a little chaos.
Crazy. One of the other items of data that we researched was the top 10 markets that are kind of coming down, and we are not one of them. The Portland metro area is not one of them. There is a lot coming down in parts of California and parts of Washington. Seattle is the number one.
Yeah.
So,
and we have some clients right now, actually, Seattle and Tacoma. Seattle, I think, is 1, and Tacoma was 10, which is really interesting. They're about an hour from each other. So we have clients right now who are moving from those areas. They're moving from San Jose, which is another area. So people are still in those markets trying to get the top dollar for their homes and then end up getting a deal here and still be in the Pacific Northwest. So that's kind of happening. I would say it's almost like, if you're a buyer, it's a bit of a sweet spot.
Oh yeah.
And one thing about that is, like, we haven't talked about people who are renting homes right now. So
rents are about to increase on January 1st here in the Portland metro area, and I don't remember the data. I think it was like up to 10%.
Yep.
They can increase your rent, which is, I mean, they're trying to make up for the fact that a lot of people didn't pay rent for like 2 years, and so but that's another thing too, is that some people during that decided, I don't want to be a landlord anymore. I'm going to fly. So some people, those are part of the things that are going up on the market. And then there were other people who are like, you know what, now's a good time to become an investor and get some, equity. I mean, and not be throwing away your dollars also towards a landlord and help them get rich. So
with the renters that we've actually seen probably more enter the market in the last 6 to 8 months because of the sweet spot that we're in. And what I mean by that is, yes, the medium home prices are still going up. However, with these other things happening, with the price reductions, with the seller credits, with different things like that, if you were to look and net out what your rent is going to be versus what you can get into a mortgage
we'll do a video for that too. The rent versus
the
buy. It's really interesting to look at. And we say all the time, rent is 100% interest.
Yeah. Bummer.
Think about that.
No good.
Another interesting fact in terms of the way that the market is right now are the things that lenders are doing, because they got to a point where they were so busy and they're taking on additional help and paying more bodies to be in their office. And now they're trying to make up for the fact that they're not losing, but there's just not as many things closing as quickly.
Producing,
So I saw recently, I don't remember what credit union it was, but they're doing a 40-year fixed loan.
Oh man.
Not 30, but 40 years.
Yeah, think about all the extra interest you have to pay though. I'm not.
Yeah, but most people don't keep the same mortgage for 40 years.
That's true.
So if you're at this point where you're like, I really want to get in and buy a house, and the only way that I can really do it is with this 40-year, and then when the interest rates come down, refinance into something that's 30 years. So you're not having to pay all. It's more about like getting your foot in the door, in my opinion, if you can afford it. Obviously we're not going to force you into anything, but we want to make sure that it's a smart deal for you.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really interesting. I think there was something else on there that they were like helping people buy down points.
No, there is another credit union I just saw. They're doing it 0%.
Oh yeah, it was 0%.
I think it was Rivermark, which I don't know if it was exactly, but
something like that.
We could find out for sure and see. So I think the whole point, right, is if you're a renter, if you're thinking about getting into the market, even if it's in 3 months from now, if your lease isn't ready, our buyers, typically it takes between 1 to 3 months. If you're actively looking, if you're pre-approved and you want to get into something, kind of get ahead of that a little bit. Make sure your credit's good. Start getting some money in the bank for your down payment and things like that. So we're available to help with that consult to kind of get you set up for into the future. We have a lot of clients we're nurturing, and they're out 6 months, a year, 2 years. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter to us. Also, for those of you who are out of state, we work with a lot of out of state people who never even set foot in Oregon before they buy a house.
Yeah.
But we're full-time agents, and between the two of us, we take vacations and things, but one of us is almost always here. And we do FaceTime videos or just video that we can compress and send to you via email. Go back, and sometimes we'll have people who will fly in and see a house for a second time. It's a little bit easier now because houses are on the market for longer. But before it was like, I can't get there, and I know I have to put an offer if I really like this house this weekend. So can you do a video tour for us? Yeah. So we're available. We help first-time buyers, we help investors, we help out-of-state clients, we help everything under the sun.
Yeah.
So whoever you are, doesn't matter. Reach out to us. We'll figure out how to help you. So.
And with that, if there are certain neighborhoods you're not sure about, Tam and I have a lot of information. Say you look at a house and it's over in Northwest or something, we can say, here's sort of the skinny on that area. Here's where the schools are going to be. Here's a link to show you some crime information if that's what you're interested in. Here are the parks. Here's how far it would be to commute for the job that you're going to be getting up there. So we do neighborhood tours as well as the house tours.
Yeah.
We actually really like to do that. And in some of our other videos, you'll see we kind of do some neighborhood deep dives. So that's all stuff that we can do to help you out and get you comfortable. Tam has been here literally her whole life, so she knows Portland like the back of her hand.
I've watched it change. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, kind of like everywhere.
Yeah.
But, you know, and then me as a transplant to have that experience of moving here and then learning some of the neighborhoods, you'd be in really good hands, you know, just trying to get that information.
Yeah. But again, the point of this is that we really don't anticipate any sort of crash at all. And the data supports that at the moment. You know, data can change at any time, but the data and research that we've done so far shows that we're just rebalancing at this time. And hopefully that's going to make everybody's lives a little easier. Even though are we in the sevens? What are we at interest right now?
So I just looked last night. We're almost to the sevens. Actually, the 30-year jumbo is above 7, which please, do not get a jumbo loan if you don't need to. Still, the conforming conventional limit is like $647,200 or something like that. So most 30-year loans, FHA and all that, are still sub 7s. However, you know, they're probably going to continue to change. We work
increase every year.
Yeah, a great local lender, and we have some other opportunities for you to kind of look into that. So
and the point of me bringing up the interest rates is like, we got spoiled during COVID. Interest rates were like at the lowest we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And now they're going back to normal. So
yeah.
And the trick is, you know, that houses have also increased in price. And so that's kind of where the rub is at right now. But it doesn't mean that you're not going to still continue to gain equity the longer that you're in the home, because the home is just going to continue to appreciate over time. And
so we may see a little dip. Don't freak out.
Yeah, don't freak out.
It's going to be all right.
Like, you know, it's a long-term investment, and you know, the more of them you have, the more equity you gain, as well as, you know, the interest rates won't stay the same forever. They change every day.
Yeah.
And
constantly.
you know, we might see it increase some more between now and you know, but we might see a decrease. We will see a decrease at some point.
How about, like, I like to think about this, like, real estate is a cycle. It's going to go up and down and up and down. That's really just what it does. So I think it's what's your threshold on the up and the down. And we try to prepare you when you do make that purchase. We look at the comparable homes that have sold to make sure it's going to be a good investment for you. And we're thinking 2 and 3 steps down the road. If you're going to potentially resell in the future, or you're going to hold on to it as a rental property and do the BRRRR method. Like, we're looking at all of those things and not just trying to slam you into a house like right away. We want to make sure it's like,
and we'll talk about also, we recently both just purchased new houses.
Yep.
And this was not like at the height of all the things. This was when everything kind of started to make the change.
Well, so, I bought a house in early 2021 and our rate was under 3%. That last house we bought was just about 5%, and that's in less than 2 years. Yeah. So we paid double, basically.
But the big question isn't what are the rates, what are all of these things? The big question is, what is your why?
Yeah.
You know, are you getting married? Are you getting divorced? Are you having a kid? Are you relocating due to a job? You know, did you have a windfall of money and you don't want to put it in the stock market right now?
Did you win the lottery? Because I've been trying forever.
Yeah.
I swear to God.
You know, so it's a matter of like, are you in an area in which you are not comfortable raising your kids anymore? Are you becoming an empty nester? Like, there's so many reasons why people move and want to purchase a house. Are you tired of renting? You're tired of throwing away your money and paying 100% interest? Any of those reasons are good reasons, you know, and it's not about, I don't think about it in those terms. I think about like, well, like the recent move that we made was because the neighborhood that we had originally purchased in was not conducive to our lifestyle anymore. And so we moved to the woods, which is very conducive to our lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, so I love it. And I think it's so interesting when I'm showing buyers, and the first question is, why are they moving? They're like, well, I mean, it could be a variety of reasons.
Yeah,
Like,
but we ask those questions, and I think, you know, in that experience, we're asking the why to dig down deeper to really understand and then help you get the right house. Like, we're matchmakers in that way.
Yeah.
So full service, full picture, all of that stuff. Well, I think we pretty much covered it all. If you guys have more questions about what's going on, subscribe, like
and comment.
Yep.
You know, always ask all the questions. Also, our phone number is at the bottom. If you click on the little more tab on the bottom, if you're interested in giving us a call, you can also do that. That number rings to both of us.
Yep.
So
thanks for joining us.
thank you.
And we'll see you in about a week for our next video
The next edition
of
that
PDX
Live.
Live.